a single car team.
Brad Keselowski won this race.
500. Logano, there are the Wood brothers. Oh my goodness. First win in 10 years.
Side by side. Come on, Norm. Hangs on.
Norm was not going to be denied.
And we did it. Yeah!
What is going on, y'all? Producer Josh here. I am flying solo today. Today's kind of like the editor's pick. It's kind of a week off for us where we don't really have anything planned. And we wanted to bring you guys some bonus content. A lot of times when we record, we meet with our guest before the show. We kind of discuss little things here and there and get technical things down. And Derek does not know how to stop talking, and so we get a lot of conversation before and a lot of conversation after each show, and sometimes the guests are in a hurry, so we don't get that opportunity. But if I don't put a leash on Derek, he will probably keep me on this computer for 4 hours. So what you see on the broadcast is our condensed version, and we have an extra, I think, 15 minutes or so with Mr. Robert Pressley, and he was a really awesome guest, and I'm really excited to see how good the IHRA Stock Car Series is going. And we got to talk to him a lot about cool stuff like his hot dog stand that him and his daughter are running, and a few other kind of behind the scenes stories about his career that we didn't touch on in the interview because Derek knew that it was already something that had been discussed many times in the past in other interviews, so he didn't want to be just repeating the same old conversation points. So other than that, let's see here. I'm sorry. I'm used to having a little extra time here where Derek talks and I can get ready to push all the buttons here. But if you could please like, comment, and subscribe, share it on any of the social media apps, and it really does us a lot. And like Derek says, we're trying to get the more people that subscribe, the more people that share, or more people that comment. They help us continue to push forward in the algorithm and suggest us to more and more people. There's a lot more audience out there than what we're getting. We are doing really well, but yeah, we want to keep pushing further and further and honoring all of our guests and getting their names out there and their stories out there. Also, if you are on the audio realm, please rate and review. Let people know that you are listening to the Also Ran broadcast, and we thank you very much. Otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you so much. Enjoy, Robert Presley.
No,
I
you're
think
fine.
you look good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, so what I was going to ask you before producer Josh came on to get the technical stuff. So your dad racing, was his career kind of equal to what Ralph Earnhardt's was as far as what they both did? Or I know you said in the interview that your dad didn't want to run Cup because he didn't want to go on some of those bigger speedways.
Right. Yeah. I would say his and Ralph's are parallel. Ralph started a little earlier than my dad did. And my dad come on. And I mean, what's interesting about the Earnhardt and the Presley is Ralph was a little older than my dad. And they wasn't rivals, but, competitors and everything. And then it was something. Then my dad was a guy ahead of Dale Earnhardt Sr. So then they raced together. Then when I come in, Earnhardt Sr.'s the elder of me. And then whenever Junior come in, I'm the elder of him. And then my son never got to do it, race against Earnhardt, in the local level. He'd already moved up. So see, it was a seesaw back and forth for like 3 generations there.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I know. So I don't know if producer Josh, who he's behind the scenes, he can hear and see whatever's going on. I don't know if he knows it or not, but your son, Coleman Pressley, is currently the spotter for Joey Logano, and they are actually really, really good friends. And he had a little bit of a racing career himself.
Yeah, Coleman, my dad was probably one of the greatest racers, short track racers he was. winning everything from the Oxford 250 to the Milk Bowl in Vermont to winning in Canada, up and down the East Coast, but he never wanted to go cup racing. He didn't want to get away from the short tracks. He was like a Dick Trickle, but Trickle eventually went on. And myself, I never wanted to leave the short tracks, but after 6 years, I got the opportunity to drive a Busch car, and I kind of liked it because I was getting paid to do something instead of spending my money to do it. And then the cup deal come along, which, I wasn't ready to do that, never thought about it, but then it happened. So, things was a lot different in the 80s, 90s. People called you to drive their car. Now they ask you how much money you got to bring to them to drive their car.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, during the actual interview, I'll reference Rick Houston's interview that he did with you, so that way, if people want to go as in depth with knowing, excuse me, with knowing more about your racing past and your family's racing past, they can do that.
Yeah.
I still want to talk about it because the position that you've been put in, is not something of insignificance. I mean, it's a new series I compare it to NASCAR before NASCAR was NASCAR, right? It's like these older races, back when you still had moonshiners showing up to run the races, they were running what they run, trying to outrun the other guys. And based on the way Daniel Horton explained everything to me, this is kind of it. If you can afford to do this, that, and the other, we're not going to have big name talent stepping down from the big 3 series coming down here to win all the money. You're going to have a significant purse, and it's going to be well worth your time. So I was like, that sounds awesome. And that's something that's what I really want to talk about. But so I don't want you to feel like I'm disrespecting your career or anything by not going in depth with it. Okay. Because I mean,
and the thing is this the 3rd podcast I've ever done, because I think the one we done with Dale Jr. went through a lot of the things that my career consists of. The Rick Houston was more in depth from start to finish. And, that's why this right here, when Pepper asked me to do it, Pepper was always great to work with. And I said, yes, I'll do this. Because, I probably get 2 requests a week for the last 2 years to come and do podcasts. And, hey, I've told the story. If you need to see it, let's go look at some of the others. So that's why y'all going to be number 3, and who knows if there'll ever be another one.
Yeah, that means a whole lot, and I think
that's why if we've got 30 or 40 minutes, we can go as far as you want to.
Okay, all right. Good. Well, I have no draft. It just gonna put the pedal down and see where we go until we get to that start finish line.
Right.
That's me. I shoot off the hip on everything.
All right, I'm going to jump off, do a little intro video, and we'll be on our way. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
I think producer Josh is going to have to send a thank you package to Shelby as well.
Oh. Hey, listen here. That's my girl right there.
So where is Shelby in the family? Is she daughter-in-law?
Yeah, she is my. I got Coleman and Shelby. So I had a boy and a girl, and I'll tell you what, I'm very blessed with both of them. And she is the secret to our hot dog place. She has been the manager of it for the last 11, 12 years of the 21 years we've been there. I'm just up there helping her during a lunchtime sometime. We're very sad she's going to be leaving in about a year. She is going into nursing school. She is, me and my wife are very proud of her, what she has accomplished, getting her nursing degree here. She is a hard worker. And, as you've seen, she has one of the most cheerful attitudes anybody there are. She's got that country accent like me, and she can make people smile all the time.
Yeah, when I was listening to the Scenecast interview or the Scene Vault, I went on Google Maps and I've got the hot dog joint on here as well as a pizza joint that Dale Earnhardt Jr. highly recommends. I think he took Kyle Petty there somewhere in North Carolina. My wife gets upset because anytime we go on vacation and she says we're going somewhere, I pull out Google Maps and I'm like, let me see what green dots I have for all these places that I want to see around there. And as a matter of fact, we're going to Washington, D.C. in August. And she's like, so what do you want to do for a day trip? I was like, don't ask me that because I'm going to get myself in trouble. She's like, no, what do you want to do? I was like, well, she wants to go to, there's this huge buffet called like the Smorgasbord or something like that. She wants to do that. And she's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, well, we're not too far from where Joe Weatherly is buried. We're not driving 2 hours out of the way so you can go see somebody's gravesite. So, yeah, no, I look forward to getting there and trying some of those hot dogs, man. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things from the people I've talked to about it.
Well, we got a celebrity wall there, and I think every cup driver I raced with for the 10 years or whatever has been in there except Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Rusty Wallace, maybe.
Okay.
So all the good ones has made time to get there. I mean, probably the most now. I mean, Kyle Petty's been by there several times, and everything. Rick Mass and all that. But the biggest surprise I ever had, and it was about a year ago, is I'm looking there and I look back and there's standing somebody and I said, Ricky Rudd. Because the reason why I say Ricky Rudd was a quiet one while we raced. He was not the one that got out talking to people all the time while we was at the track. He was more or less Ricky Rudd. I'm there to race. I'm not here to make friends. I don't trust none of y'all, And me and him sat down. I probably might have said hey to Ricky in 10 years, 10 times. And we sat up there for over 2 hours in a booth talking about why he didn't talk. And that's when he told me, he said, hey, I just had so many bad experiences of people backstabbing me. And, everybody was always gunning after your ride and everything. And I thought that was probably one of the most interesting talks I've had with any race driver that I raced with. But it was because I'd never got to talk to Ricky to know what he really was like.
That's kind of crazy. It's kind of reminds me of when you got fired from Alliance because they found out about the contract you had signed with Skull Bandit.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I don't have a ride. And then they basically called Rick Mass and said, you're driving his car for like a handful of races. And
yeah, there's 5 races left, and Rick, it's his own race team. And Skull does it, and I said, hey, I just got fired. And this is on Thursday. We got to be at Martinsville on Friday. And they said, what happened? I told them because of the contract. The secretary, it's Leo Jackson, was talking to the secretary of the Alliance, and this was quiet for a year and a half. Harry Gant didn't even know about it. My job was I was going to take over when Harry retired, and Harry was going to and I might have been under contract for 3 years, I don't know. When Harry decided, then we'll announce that you're going to do it. And the ladies are sitting there, and one of them says, hey, I think Harry's going to retire next year, but he's going to do one full season of the Harry Gant Farewell Tour. And, man, we're so glad for Robert to be coming on. Do what? Oh yeah, Robert signed a contract a couple years ago. It's real quiet, we can't say nothing. Well, the secretary goes back in there on Monday. The owner investigates to see if this is true. And I ain't saying it was a bad deal, but they waited till Thursday to do it. And they'd already scheduled another driver. They'd already got him in the seat and everything. And then for Skoll to say, you will be racing tomorrow or be at Martinsville tomorrow for the race on Sunday. Whose car? I don't know. We'll find one. And then phone rings in a trick mass, and he always called me Bob Jr. because he raced with my dad. Well, Bob Jr., you got my ride. Said they called me and told me I had to let you drive, and said it's their fault. And me and Rick become great friends after that.
That's funny. Yeah, I like I said, there was so much that touched on. I'm sorry, I didn't know that much about your career until very recently. I mean, the things that you did, and what's really unique about what we're doing with this show, talking to drivers from the past, people like Mike Harmon, who was never really like a huge star, and Norm Benning, who's still doing it, and still on a shoestring budget, didn't even make the race in Daytona this year. But how everybody knows, not everybody knows everybody, but how many people know other people that you would have had no idea about. Like when I was listening to it, and you talked about going to Bobby Hamilton. The first thing that popped in my head is, well, Pepper was at Bobby Hamilton. And then now you're talking about the guys at IHRA, and a lot of those guys were over there. So it's
Bobby Hamilton.
It's crazy how that all works out.
Yeah.
But thank you again for coming on. I'm not going to keep you. I'll let you get to your night. And I know producer Josh is struggling over there. He's got newborn baby at home and postpartum mama.
Thank you.
Number one.
Number two, but it was 10 years apart, so it feels like number one all over again.
Okay.
He doesn't have the youth and vigor that he did when number one was around.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Coleman. I was telling somebody this the other day. When Coleman was born, me and my wife sat up probably for a month. Now, I'm exaggerating, but we sat up a month to watch him breathe all night just to make sure everything good. Whenever Shelby's born, hey, she's all right. She just cried,
Well, and tell Shelby thank you again for us as well.
I sure will.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
help. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Robert.
All right, Robert. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to this weekend. It'll be fun.
Okay. Yeah. Keep an eye on us, and let's see if we're a hero or zero.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.